I really like to improvise when it's time to solo or maybe just daydream with my guitar. So let's say you're trying to follow a chord progression. Let's keep it kind of simple, as I always say. Let's say the chords are A, then goes to E7 and back to A. So that would sound like... Nice and easy. So what notes would you play? What if you know your A minor pentatonic? That could work, but some of those notes in that scale are going to clash with that E chord because there's a G in there, but the E7 chord has a G sharp. So that note might sound weird. Oh, there's a C in this scale, but there's no C in either the A or the E chord. So that could sound weird. The E would work because E is in both A and E7 chords. The D would work on the E7 chord because that's the dominant 7. When you make an E7 chord, that D note, so that could be a good note. But as you can see, it's kind of hit and miss. But there's a way to kind of make it really work really well. That's the concept that I understand is called chord tone soloing. So let's just do some real basic things here. I'm going to start on an A note, which I'm thinking A chord, A note. Pretty hard to argue with that as a solid choice for soloing. But when the band goes to E7, or the chord progression goes there, there are a few notes that will work really, really well. One that I kind of want to focus on is the G sharp, which is, just remember E7 chord does have a G sharp in it. So if we find other G sharps up the neck, those are going to sound pretty good. It just so happens underneath that A is the G sharp. So let me play the chords one more time, then I'll do the notes I'm thinking about. You can probably hear it in your head, but... Now my big, wild soloing idea. Too easy. We can make it harder, more complex, but... You can add more melody to it, but those are your targets. So you can do it up higher. Let's say you're up here on this A. Or down on the bass. I realize that doesn't sound very impressive, but it's the key that you can understand that. Let's just do something like a different chord. Let's say it goes to an E flat 7, A to E flat 7. I don't even know what that'll sound like. Well, let's just try it. It's kind of a weird chord progression, but if I pick, so an E flat 7 is going to have a G as its third. Let's just see what it sounds like. Again. Now the solo. That's pretty cool. Yeah. A, G, A. That works. So any chord you pick in your progression, you just got to find the notes in that chord and target those. Let's pick another random, let's say it goes A, F, A. All right. This is tricky. How about, let's do some funny stuff. A is the root of an A chord. A is also the third of an F chord. So if my chord progression goes... I can stay on A. Ah! That didn't work. So I'm doing a little bit of the chord. I was trying to do like King Kong stretch here, but I failed. A. Could stay on A. In the F chord is an A note. So if you're singing, you're like, It sounds kind of hypnotic and cool to stay on the one note. So sometimes doing the very minimum or doing way less than you think can be way cool. Let's say it's going to a G chord, an A chord to a G chord. Obviously, you could go A, G, A. Or you could pick the third interval of the G chord, which is a B. A, B, A. All right. I realize this is moving pretty slow. Let's pick a different target on the A chord the second when we come back to it. Remember, the A chord does have an E in it, so I'm going to play A, B for the G chord, and now an E for the A chord. Let's see what that sounds like. That sounded kind of cool, but I think I want to hit the third of A instead. Remember, the third interval of an A chord is a C sharp. The major third of an A chord is C sharp. So let's try an A, a B, and a C sharp for this chord progression. A, G, and A. So I'll hit them. I came across the idea of hitting the melodic note, the target note, after I do the chord. I'll do that again. I mean, we can do this all day. In a G chord, you've got a D note. Let's just throw that in. Same kind of thing, only instead of a B, I'm going to hit a D. So the melodies. So if you have a longer string of chords, you have to figure out, more than just two chords. But, as I always do on this channel, keep it really, really basic and simple. I don't want to, it's easier if we learn in little tiny bits. Let's say it goes, let's go, I'm going to do a bigger chord progression. I'm going to go like kind of like House of the Rising Sun. So I'm going to find a note for every chord. I'm going to start with an A for my A chord. For my C chord, I'm going to do a G. And then the D chord, I'll hit a major third. The F chord, I'll hit an F. Ooh, that was cool. Back to A. Now my C chord. And my E chord. A B. Alright, sounds kind of strange. Now let's do A for an A chord. Maybe I'll try the C for the C chord. The D for the D chord. The F for the F chord. Now I'll go A for the A chord. And G sharp for the E chord. And back to A for the A chord. Maybe another E for the E chord. I realize this sounds kind of mechanical, but this is a better practice than maybe just stumbling around the scale, which, can sound really cool. If your target, it's just going to sound like more manicured and controlled if you hit intervals that are in the chords. And I don't always do it, but sometimes I do. Sometimes I just play something kind of like, let's say my chord progression is going A, C, G, D. Those are all notes in an A minor pentatonic scale, so I might just kind of hang out on the scale, and if something sounds a little bit dissonant, just that's rock and roll, that's okay. But other times I like to really control it, in the right. If the song needs that control, I can do it. So I realize these examples sound pretty minimal, but what I would like you to consider is just let's just do a blues idea. Let's say you're doing A, then to D, back to A, the D, the A, here comes the E, now the D, and the A, and the E. So you can kind of hear the chords in that, my note choices, versus just kind of floating on the scale and hoping that it sounds passable. Which I know the feeling, and it's not always bad to do that, but it's nice to have options. All right. Well, this video is going pretty long. I just want to say Happy New Year, and I've got students coming soon, so this is my first video of 2023, and I think it's going to be a decent year. We're going to make it a good year, so stick with me, and we'll be just doing some fun stuff on guitars. And I'll be showing off some different guitars and amps as they come in for repair or are available for sale. All right. Adios, amigos. I'll see you soon.